Hello, viewers. Well, one thing you can be sure of is that all of us who are in studio today were not born at the time when what we're going to discuss happened. But what we know is that as a virtue of history, what we came to know as a protracted people's struggles, a 5-year liberation war initiated by the now president of the Republic of Uganda. This later on led to the toppling of an entire government, and Kampala fell to the hands of the guerrilla fighters. 5 years down the road, and well, here we are, 38 years, and I don't know if we are still counting, but yes, the gentlemen are still here. They have taken off the clothes of soldiers, and now they're in suits and, offering political leadership to this country. We shall be talking about NRM at 38, and of course, trying to compare, the president's speech. Does it offer, does it breathe in new hope and air for Ugandans? That is phase one. Phase two shall just get comments about Uganda's position with regards to the Israel-Palestine question in Gaza. Uganda took a very unique position on that question, and we shall, just get the geopolitical implication of that. Viewers, welcome, and we have a panel of distinguished young people that I now introduce to you, and in no particular order. Next to myself is the Lord Councilor of Kawempe Division, a former guild president of Makerere University, and a proud supporter of the National Unity Platform. The name is Kateregga Julius. Julius, we're happy to have you.
Happy to be here, sir. Good afternoon, viewers. I wish and hope that our deliberations here today inform and shape debate in this country. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, that is our hope as well. Next to Julius is, should I call her Emugole? But yes, she's the newly elected vice president of the students of this country. She also, serves in the Makerere University Students Guild. She's the only student on the show and probably the youngest and only lady. So, Gold, we are happy to have you.
Thank you. Gold Ikyiriza is my name. Good afternoon to you all viewers. I'm very, very, very glad to be here on this panel and discussing with my dear elders, I should say. But otherwise, I'm glad. Thank you.
We are very happy to have you and thank you. Next to Gold is Victor Junior Akansasira. I just don't want to miss my words. Yes, Akansasira offers a special advice on data and research to the African Union Youth Assembly. Victor, it's a privilege to have you here.
I'm really humbled, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Akansasira Junior Victor. I'm a trained and commissioned cadre of Intake 2016. And with African Union, I advise on matters to do with education, data, and research.
Yeah.
I'm also a Global Schools mentor on SDGs in East Africa. That is sponsored by UNESCO and United Nations Sustainable Solution Network. Then maybe lastly, I'm the PRO for our training institute just here around Kateregga.
Wow.
Nice meeting you
Wow.
guys.
Very, it's a plethora of titles right there, but well, very happy to have you. The last but not least on the show is a face who I think had taken a sabbatical, which is, a break off, media spaces, but well, here he is back again. The name is Ezra Byakutangaza. Ezra, served as, at some point as the Students Guild Speaker of Makerere, and of course the president of the students of the country still at some point, maybe about 2 years ago. Ezra, we're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Kidega, my brother. I am happy. Good afternoon, viewers. I am more than privileged to discuss this topic today. I hope we continue to make impact even in our time.
Yeah.
Whereas we discuss what our forefathers, maybe now our grandfathers, not even our fathers did, and assess and attach it to the current reality. Yeah, I hope 50 years down the road, Kidega, you can be assessed as well.
I look forward. Thank you. Julius, let me just begin with you. when NRM, celebrates 30 years of liberating this country, and I emphasize the word liberation, is that what comes to your mind as a young person? Do you think they've walked the talk? They came with a 10 years program, issues around corruption, security, mention them. How is their scorecard doing 38 years down the road?
Thank you, Moses. Moses, and colleagues and viewers, I want to start by congratulating people, as colleagues who are graduating from Makerere University this whole week. People graduating from very different, in different disciplines. Yeah. It is always that one time, but extremely important that people do. When you started, you said, and I want to qualify it, I think it is true that we've all been born during the time of the NRM, or the time NRM has been in charge. Yeah. It is also true, at least for my side, that our forefathers participated in the liberation war of 1980s to 85, 86 to bring the current regime in charge. First, Ugandans renewed their social contract through a constitution, that through a constituent assembly that was formed around 93, 94, which gave birth to the 1995 constitution under the watch of NRM. And we can all agree that maybe the safeguards largely is that systems can continue in any country. We've seen it, but Uganda, as personally, and many of us, or questions for our forefathers, hoped that the NRM or the NRA would address the governance question in this country, would put to rest some of the challenges that we had faced since independence. Problems of Uganda may have started from the time Uganda, the 16, 17 indigenous communities or nations were collapsed into forming Uganda by the colonialists. On 1962, we enter a new state of self-governance under a lot of dishonesty that Ugandans have never put to bed. A case in point, we don't want to talk about these things, that we entered a phase that the rest of Uganda voted and put in place a leadership where largely the competition was between UPC at that time and the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party won the rest of Uganda. And Buganda, or Central Region, at that time had 27 seats. And the people of Uganda didn't vote, while the rest of Uganda voted. For us, that question was settled by the Kabaka government, the Luchiko and the Mengo government at that time, which nominated 27 representatives. And as a scholar, I think that was very problematic, and it contributed a lot to the problems of Uganda, at least because the people at the center didn't contribute, so their opinions were never captured. It is very unpopular, but I have done understudies, and I think that was problematic. We went on. The result was Prime Minister Obote overthrowing a substantive leader, the head of state then, in whichever unfortunate circumstances, which didn't leave this country the same. Uganda as a country struggled for another 24 years with instability up to around 1980, 81, when the NRM or NRA declared the war, of course with other movements like the Dakome Kairas, the Musevens on this side, and later coming together to fight and cause a cause that was meant to liberate this country. That was meant, one of the major questions to be settled then was a cause for self-determination, that Ugandans had to choose how they should be governed. And it is said in the constitution of Uganda how we exercise that power, that we should determine. The Odochi, as you as a law student, you should have interacted with the Odochi Commission. Went and captured views of Ugandans on how they wanted to be, governed. There are other serious questions in this country, like the land question, of it, largely in Uganda, the tenure systems, that Ugandans probably had different views, but people in power at that time held different views. I wanted to move fast and shift to power and governance because it determines how the economy runs and other things. There was a safeguard, two safeguards. One was one on age limit
and term limit.
Age limit. I want to start with age limit. There was a cap of an upper cap of 75 years. That for a person to be president of this country had to be between the age of 35 and not more than 75 years. I want to show you the dishonesty. At that time, the framers, maybe under the influence of the president of Uganda then, who is still the president today, General Museveni, felt that there was no internal opposition in the country, but feared that people who could take him on are people who had been president. Amin and the late president, Apollo Milton Obote. So, and they had gone above 75 years. So he put a cap, which ordinarily would pass for unfair today, like the argument turned on later. But with an intent to cross out Obote and Amin. And,
well, that is, I think,
yes,
hearsay.
I don't know.
That is subject to
Moses,
your personal opinion.
You asked me to qualify my opinion based on what I have read and what I know. So I am giving my opinion. So, in my opinion,
it can be the Kateregga. It can be recorded as the Kateregga opinion.
Yeah. So that was put there, particularly to cross out those former presidents. And when time came, many of us thought that it was unfair for that cap to be removed, especially when at that time now it had caught up with General 7. The other was the one of term limits. I talked to so many people. One of my mentors that you know very well are NRM historicals, Matthew Richikile. And for him, he says that was a point of disagreement for many of them with the current president. With all the problems Uganda had faced, Uganda has not had, and we are all still yearning for that, peaceful transition. We don't know what it means, but so because there has not been peaceful transfer, we've not even settled the question of governance. We've not seen, Ugandans don't question institutions. We only focus on government. We leave out cultural institutions, religious institutions,
so as it stands,
all working together to oppress the citizens of this country. So as it stands
now, the scorecard of the NRM, just in terms of governance, corruption, issues like social services, how would you rate them on a scale of 1 to 10?
As it stands,
Issues around human rights and all this stuff.
I think NRM gave us what people from Uganda, what we would call Byakutangaza, or what you would call hot hair. And I think other than the factor of time, that there are things that, time has imposed. There are those strides that we've taken because of time.
But not
so I
because
would
of...
give them 3 because they have occupied this country for more than, okay, I would give them a 4 because they have, for the past 4, I would give them a 4 out of 10. And just to be fair, because there are other circumstances and international sanctions that have brought out, back certain things that have been necessitated by the current times, that they have adhered to. And I think that is too low. This country, and it is not a question of the NRM, Ugandans as citizens, I didn't want to discuss it. I want us to discuss this nation. We have failed to attach dignity to the citizens of Uganda.
Okay, we shall get to that. But let me just pick a first context from all of us, what we think the scorecard of the NRM looks like. And Ezra, let me come to you. The scorecard of the NRM, and we shall judge them basing on that 10 points program, fighting corruption, peace and security, among others. If you hear Kateregga, he speaks with a lot of cynicism. He says whatever good has happened by virtue of time, but not because of the deliberate intent of the NRM regime. Yes, so I don't know, how do you rate this scorecard?
Well, thank you so much, my brother Kidega. To start with, I want to join my brother Kateregga in congratulating fellow gallant Macarians who are graduating this week. It's one of the achievements that we can accord to the NRM and the NRA. I want to go now, seeing many Ugandans, many young people graduate. I don't think it was the case before 1986.
There were fewer Ugandans.
There were fewer Ugandans, 15 million Ugandans, and that is another point that I want to, according to the scorecard, I want to congratulate the NRA leaders who are still alive and those who died. We continue to celebrate their life and we continue to hold their intention so dear to our hearts, even in this generation, to make sure that we can continue to build. As you know, this is a country, it's not a home. Even in a home, you achieve, every home has targets, but you achieve them over time. So I congratulate the NRA leaders, especially the 27 who showcased extraordinary bravery for the sake of their country. I congratulate later the NRM that took on from the NRA and has given leadership to this country from 1986 to date. And in particular, I would also want to take the opportunity to congratulate the president. We have had 9 presidents since independence. And he has served the longest. Just in 24 years since independence, before the NRA took over, we had 8 presidents. And that was a question of governance. Immediately after we got out of the colonial leadership, we the Africans or Uganda, and this is not only about Uganda, it is about most African countries that got independence around that time. But kudos to the president that we can discuss other internal things, where of course the NRM has failed on some, has not progressed as should be, but largely we have settled the question of governance and leadership. We could have opinions, maybe on the overstay of power.
When you say the issue of governance has been settled, just to qualify, do you mean that because we have periodic elections, that every 5 years Ugandans have a chance to
I think
renew the mandate of the...
Since 1986, we have not had a president lead without an election. And for me, we can discuss the quality or
and the nature of
the other, like we said, Uganda, like I will say maybe when we get deeper into the discussion, we may not have had very well-established institutions like many other countries we hear about, or we read about, or we know about. But at least there is some degree of democracy, some degree of transparent governance that is in place and that we can be proud of. So I congratulate the NRM. I want to celebrate, and we continue to mourn our lost lives in the process of capturing power. Of course, around that time, you can tell the nature
at the expense of half a million Ugandans.
Well. Of course, there is always a cost. There is always a cost, and I think even us today, I am convinced that there shall be some Ugandans who shall offer themselves at the expense of their own families. We have already seen that there are some key players in our democracy today who, including our opposition political parties, there is a lot of cost to being that, to being an opposition leader, and so on and so forth. But that is how we grow. That is how we grow. So largely, I congratulate, and on a scorecard, I would give them, maybe we still have major problems, although the challenges of the time when the NRA took power are not the challenges of today. Today we are dealing with how do we advance in ICT, how do we create more employment for the 48 million Ugandans against the 15 that they took over. So the challenges of today are still very vivid. Very many young people are out there, very unemployed. Our GDP has grown. I think our economy then was around 11.5 billion US dollars. Today we are talking about 45 billion US dollars. Yes, the rate may not be as good, but we celebrate the success and
and acknowledge the shortcomings as well.
Yes, as you may know, my brother here said it is a matter of time, which I want to disagree with, because when the NRM took power, there were a lot of questions to address. There are a lot of civil wars that were in our country going on. The Lakwena War was on, the LRA war was on, the ADF, which is still on, is here. So we really want to celebrate from a group of 27 people to now the professional army that we have, to going out in our region to keep peace even beyond Uganda. Yes, I must say there is significant progress that we have made, in as much as that's not all that we need. I thank you.
Wow, thank you. Good. Let me introduce a female voice to the conversation now. Still the same question. The scorecard, 38 years down the road, the issues of corruption that they vowed to fight, issues of socio-economic transformation, issues of our collective prosperity. How have they performed in 38 years?
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Kidega. One, I should first congratulate my fellow students at Makerere University who have made it today and yesterday till Friday. It's not always easy. I'm not yet there yet. I'm a student at Makerere doing social sciences, a major in psychology and minor in gender studies. And I think the coverage of students that have graduated or this whole entire week, it is about 53% are females.
Yeah.
And going back to the structures of Makerere University, I think around 1922, we know how many ladies would really enter that hill or go to that hill to study. So first, I congratulate NRM for that. Affirmative action has really been, I think it's big, we shouldn't zero down the fact that we have not attained that, we have really achieved. Though the question of the boy child, because I said the percentage is around 47. So there is something that is a bit lacking to some extent. Going back to the bush, the NRM and NRA, which is now the Uganda People's Defense Forces, I think I should say thank you to the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Reason, if you talk about the peace and security, it's not to our level best, but it's not like how it was back then. The civil wars, you realize that now it is Uganda that is actually hosting many of the refugees all over the world.
Actually, I think it is the third largest host of refugees.
I've
globally.
seen different South Sudanese around Makere where it's a lot, there is a war taking place there. So Uganda, and in terms of democracy, issues concerning corruption, we have a gap.
Yeah.
Our dear leaders have put a pace whereby I think it's the mindset coming up, grooming these leaders that are in positions to actually do checkups on whatever is happening and all that, how money or how finances are always in transition and all that. It's lacking. You've seen His Excellency question the Minister of Finance to follow up, and following up, they saw that the question of they're paid but they're dead.
The ghost workers.
So that itself puts me to a point that okay, they're paid. Where does the money go? So I think Honorable Kidega and the
Uganda has a ghosted district.
Okay, just to go, because I want us to be very honest on these conversations, because I think until we open up and acknowledge that there's a problem, we will never solve it. You credit the president for fighting corruption. Parliament, I think sometime last year, dismissed the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Trade on allegations of gross mismanagement of public funds. The same individual was reinstated by the president.
Yeah.
So where is the goodwill? Where's the political will to fight corruption?
I didn't actually credit him for that, but I like the step he took to question. So that means that all along, it's been a song for over 38 years.
How about the issue of Vinci Coffee? All right? Yeah. The Vinci Coffee, where Parliament investigated and said that this group of people are a hoax. The same group that were given the contract to put up Loboa Hospital, that has never seen the light of day, is the same individual being given a contract to process our coffee. And Parliament is saying, no, look here, we cannot give another contract to an individual who has proven to be insufficient. And the president came out to defend this particular individual. And say, no, Pineti is doing good work in this country. So again, where is the contradiction?
The local
controversy.
Local construction controversy. How they get constructed.
Yes, gold. Because gold brought up the issue of corruption, and I just getting deeper into it a bit. Yeah.
Well, I should say that to me, corruption, besides the president going up to bigger structures, it starts with us at a very, very, yes, it does. It starts with us. You've been at Makere, Honorable Kateregga. You've seen what happens there in the guild leadership. You're given, a speaker gives money to a student or the candidate standing to get their support or their goodwill. At the end of the day, this person takes the money not because of the quality that he or she has seen in that specific person, but rather the money that is in there. What am I trying to bring on board? Should I say he's compromised?
Who, the president?
I mean, you realize he's like, the ministers are already there working and all that, but they've not been fully guided on what he thinks by the time they take on those positions, they already have powers and they know what to do actually.
Ministers who are stealing iron sheets in Karamoja.
But I think that system then should be
Mr. Kidega, I don't know if I can chip in a bit. That is a very interesting.
I want to bring in Victor.
It is a very
interesting
topic.
I know.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. But it's a very interesting.
I'm going to give you a chance.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a chance on that matter. But Victor, let me just introduce you into the conversation. 38 years down the road, I think point number 1 of the 10 was corruption, if I recall well. Number 2 was security. So these 10 points, 38 years down the road, how is the scorecard looking?
Well, thank you so much, Honorable, and my colleagues for this pertinent discussion. I want to say that as a cadre,
okay, just
I'm really
cadre of the NRM.
A cadre is not specifically for NRM.
Oh, just a cadre
is somebody who is trained to achieve a specific mission.
Perfect.
And it's just not because it is for NRM, but I emboldened myself to youth empowerment, maybe activism.
Great.
Well, I want to appreciate my colleagues for their ideas. And I also want to appreciate the president and his team for going to the bush and probably for fighting the governments that were not serving the people of Uganda. I also want to appreciate them for the peace that we have. I'm one of the luckiest gentlemen that have gone to different East African countries, and I've seen what happens there. For the last 3 years, I've been to South Sudan, I've been to Goma in Congo, I've been to Burundi. I have seen what happens there. So when we talk about peace, I really credit the NRM government and the president. But when it comes to issues of unemployment, if you look at the statistics of the young people as per population, in fact, we are above 80%, though UBOS gives us 78. Look at how
Junior,
they are laundering on the street.
Is peace the absence of guns? Just to
clarify
that.
Peace is not just about the absence of guns, but it is just basically the mindset of the young people or the Ugandans that they don't want war. And it is not just because they are not affected by issues in the country, just they don't want war. And of course, also I think they also don't have a commander to lead them to that war. To me, that's what I think. But Ugandans want peace.
Okay, then what do you tell Kateregga, who will emphasize to you that they have colleagues who were arrested during the political process? Are those Ugandans also, do they fall in the category of those who are enjoying the peace?
Who were killed. I saw Frank. I was in the camp behind him when he was overrun by a military truck.
What do you say to the likes of Kateregga? Do they also fall in the category where we are enjoying the peace and security?
Well, if I'm talking about peace, I don't want to calculate myself to the political instinct as per se. Well, there are so many young people in struggles, political spaces. They're all seeking for political spaces, as the Museveni and the group, the other 27 did, that brought the liberation that we are all singing, right? So when you talk about the Kateregga's team that have been, entrenched to, a couple of, kickings, boxing, and imprisonment, I want to say I'm not sure about that, but I have seen news that people are arrested. I want to say that, of course, though there is peace in the country, of course, there are other arrangements, which my colleague probably, and like you have said, they are there. I know they are there, but when we talk about peace generally, we are talking about all the regions of the country. Just if we are to give ratio and statistics, you can really see the country is if you compare in the old days of the Amini, of the days of Obote, you not move from Mbarara to Kampala in the bus past midnight. But at the moment you can. At the moment I can travel from Kampala to Elegu and sleep in the bus. Then the next day I go to Juba.
So meaning elements that were causing instability are the elements in power.
So meaning that there is some sort of peace. If there are deaths, those are political. I want to quote them that way.
Political what?
Political killings, and you know.
So are you justifying that there are political killings and that they it's okay to have political killings?
Well, in Uganda, I want to make this clear. In Uganda, if you are a young person with a vision, and probably you don't support the government, you are the other side. Like, for example, I'm a writer. What I write is not to basically put, to flourish the government. When there are issues, like the most recent article I've written that has been published by Watchdog, by Red Paper, by The Scribe, it was just out yesterday. I was telling the government and those people who went to celebrate the Liberation Day in Jinja that the young people are not yet liberated. And I was quoting the Daily Monitor of 28th that basically gives us the reports about the Auditor General's, the report about the Auditor General about the 53 billions that are always stolen by the ghost workers. The same newspaper was citing the Auditor General's report about the 600,000 jobs that basically spaces that have not been covered by the young people who are unemployed. You get the point? So I am saying that if somebody comes out and makes such writings, probably if you're not from, if you're not from a specific family, you are prone to some imprisonment. So probably people would quote you as political.
So
you get the point, Kateregga?
You are acknowledging something.
Yes.
You are acknowledging that the cost for political dissent in this country is imprisonment. You have just said that right now.
Well, I want to say that it also depends who you are and where you belong, right?
Should that matter?
Exactly.
In a country where we espouse the principles of equity, at least as per the constitution, that we are all equal.
My brother Kidega, you need to understand
where
that
you belong. And
you need to understand that in the book Betraying the City by Francis Mbuga, he says, when the madness of the entire world, when the madness of the entire nation disturbs the solitary mind of the, yes, it is not enough for me to say that one is mad, right? This is true. I want to say that it is true that there are issues in our country. And this is the time we have to tell the young people that this is our generation to stand up and say, to clear what is not clear. You get the point?
Okay.
So, like on your question, the truth is, like my sister was saying, there is a lot of corruption in this country. I want to say we have a lot of thieves. We have a problem with patronage. Just look at one minister steals, pockets billions of money. But you hear the same idiot is being brought in a ministerial position in the next regime. So what do you want us to learn as young people? Which path do you want us to take? Out together, comrade. So we need to come out and tell Muzei.
I am trying to.
Yes, we need to tell.
I'm trying to think about what my brother Victor is saying, as referring to these people as idiots, and I'm trying to remember what the minister said recently. So I'm wondering whether it is becoming a Ugandan talk. Of course.
No, seriously, we are not happy. We are not really happy.
Yeah.
In the 21st century, for 38 years, you cannot come out and vindict thieves. Then you're creating anti-corruption coalition. You are putting IGG. You are putting State House something. Then in the other days you hear that the same people are stealing money.
Kateregga, you belong to the group that should have the alternative. All right? We agree that one of the issues that we have in this country is corruption and massive gross corruption. Yeah. All right? How can we deal with this issue? One, but two, colleagues seem to say thank you to the NRM for going to the bush and liberating.
But-
and I want to qualify the word liberation, liberating the country. They've thanked the NRM. I could join them in thanking the NRM as well. Do you think that 38 years down the road, the thank you still checks that box? You look at issues around the employment rate, access to education, healthcare. What is the alternative like?
Thank you, Kidega. I have seen colleagues grapple to defend the NRM. In their hearts of hearts, we all see, all of us, people in this panel, including you, we see and know we are alive to our reality as a country. And I do not intend to answer you as a member of the National Unity Platform. I want to answer you as a Ugandan. Yes. I think the problem of this country is we've bastardized everything. Just not to use the word of, not to use, to run away from the use of the terminology idiots and idiocy. We've bastardized everything. We've failed to draw a line. When you move out of this country and go to a country like Tanzania, and that's where I started from, the governance question. There are questions that have been settled, that we shall have a president for 10 years, you understand, as per constitution. And then after 10 years, Jakaya Kikwete comes. No, Mkapa serves 10 years, leaves. Jakaya Kikwete comes, serves 10 years, leaves. Magufuli comes, he unfortunately dies. And Tanzania did not collapse into what many people don't wish us would, like the Western and other powers in the world would wish, does not fall into turmoil, because there has been a culture.
Do you people from the NUPE also know that the Western world can wish us to get into turmoil?
I
Do
say
you appreciate that?
I am speaking as a Ugandan. At the start, I also said I am speaking as a scholar who reads Uganda very well. I don't want to use that statement like Genome 7 chooses to use it when it is convenient. He uses it, we use it when it is convenient. The challenge of this country is that we have refused to have conversations with ourselves. This country has failed to metamorphose into a nation. You come from the northern part of Uganda. I come from the central part of Uganda. Ezra comes from the western
part.
Yes, you come from the west, but the northern part of the western part of Uganda.
Yes.
Their colleagues, I don't know if you get, when if we are to settle, if we began talking bluntly about issues as they're happening, we may even fail to have a conversation, because internally we've been set up against each other. But we are not willing to address that.
Set up by who?
By the people. The biggest duty bearer, the Constitution says, the Constitution establishes and says the president shall be the fount of honor. What that means is that the president is the high priest of the country, is the cardinal in this country. You understand?
Number one citizen.
There are other things that follow, including that. And it says it will take precedent over other Ugandans. Yeah, that is very expensive. We may not understand what that means. But what that says is that the president is charged with, settling questions of the morality, and is supposed to be that exemplary person. In Tanzania, a question of the father of the nation is settled. I was telling you that there are things that people of Tanzania agree on. You understand? One of them is that Mwalimu Julius Nyerere is the father of the nation. So, Mwalimu Julius is seated there and all Tanzanians aspire and look at what Mwalimu Julius...
And what is the context here in Uganda?
Yes, I'm trying to shift it here. Look at our leaders before Genome 7. You understand? This country, you cannot get one person who has been president of this country and say, no, this one presents an ideal portrait, including Genome 7. You get? That this is a person we should aspire to be like.
Okay.
You understand, as a nation. And I think that is where our problem is.
To bring the point home, I want the viewer to get you crystal clear.
Yes.
What would you have wished 38 years to look like?
Thank you.
What are the outstanding issues? Is it the respect for human rights that must be addressed? Is it the nature of elections? There has just been an appointment of a new electoral commission. Do we see ourselves resolving the governance question that you've emphasized? What are the clear crystal issues that you think need to be addressed that have not been addressed?
Thank you, Moses. Well, it's not that I'm insisting on the governance question. It is because the governance question settles so many things in this country that when we address it and say this is how we are going to approach things, very many things will be then we can begin talking about the economy. You and I were with Kenyans sometime here in Kenya and in Tanzania. You saw how Kenyans think about their country and how the rest of East Africans think. We are all grappling with the governance question. They're now solving economic questions because they settled the governance question. They are very sure about that. And until we keep... So for me, I think
what would we take to resolve the governance question in Uganda?
The first thing that I think would have addressed it from where I stand is attaching dignity to citizenship in this country. That me having a national ID, which we all have, that national ID has no party, has no color, has no tribe or face value, but it only identifies me as a Ugandan. That on onset, my child being identified as a Ugandan, there is a certain aura of dignity that is attached to them by the systems and the institutions in this country. There should be certain elevations, things like an assured healthcare system. There should be things like assured affordable quality education as a right to all citizens of this country. There should be, and those
are those things existing right now?
They are non-existent in reality, because one scholar, when Nelson Mandela talks about education as a means to liberate minds, and one scholar says free education is free education indeed.
You've just been congratulating the so many graduates.
Yes.
Isn't that a testimony of the fact that our education has in fact been a success story?
With all due respect, I don't want you to drain this. There are many struggles.
That is why I want you to be spot on and say, we have university primary education.
Yes.
It is not working because of A, B, C, D.
Thank you.
The access, the public schools vis-a-vis the private schools, this is the controversy that government needs to fit in. Otherwise, I am only forced to judge the education system from your
on face value,
and which you put it out here that Makerians are out there graduating, and that is what the viewer will take. But if you're to break it down, privatization of the education sector, how is that, so that's why I'm asking you that for the benefit of the viewer, you must be able to indicate for us clearly where are the gaps.
Okay.
Even the issue of citizenship, is it about how the issue of human rights? Is it about, I don't know. And you'll understand, I'm giving him more time because he appears to be
alone
on this side, and you guys appear to be on the other side. So I will allocate him a bit more time because he perhaps needs to, Yes.
No,
thank you,
Kidega, that is not true. We are discussing, I hope we are having this discussion as passionate young people. And we are passionate about matters of our country. I guess for me as an individual, at least for myself, I am not here to represent the NRM.
No, I've said the opinions.
Yeah.
I'm grouping you according to opinions, not according to according to opinions.
Political affiliation.
Well, you're the moderator after all, so.
So, colleagues and Kidega, I want, for example, to use
In a minute.
education
In a minute, yes.
as you know, as a yardstick. So, a country must have, you know, a set of values. Some of them taught at school, others seen through the laws we enact, others emphasized at home. You understand? So the problem of this country, largely, we are here grappling with corruption. We shall not address it until we have addressed. This country needs to get a national character. We need to set out, and that is the responsibility of the government. Wake up, sit with Ugandans. I don't know under which arrangement that can be arrived at, for us to sit and say, this is what is going to define a Ugandan. After us defining that, we can go into these realities. I am in NUP, Gold could be in NRM, or you, Moses.
Yes, I am in NRM.
Yes, or you in NRM. But when we get into Makerere University, and Makerere University is not up to the standard, to the realities of employment or unemployment, is not addressing that. We all face the music at the end of the day.
True.
So what I want is for us to go back, discuss the question of education, discuss the health care services in this country, and the question of the economy. On top of all these, we cannot arrive to this until the systems, the government, the cultural institutions, the religious institutions have been put to a test. And that marks the NRM and everyone else who have come up, NUP that has come up as a result of, because the NRM is been here. So I can say that the FDC, and other than the DP, we are all a result of this. You understand? We need to come back and agree on one or two things. That one, a citizen of Uganda must be protected this way and this way. So when that is settled, then a Ugandan who dissents with the government will be treated as a Ugandan. Unlike today, what happens when I disagree? I am more liable to go to prison than one who conforms. And conformity does not help anyone. It's not addressing anything. And those are not supposed to be sentiments of any political party. You understand? And that is where I stand. We must define citizenry and attach dignity to it. It is going to solve so many problems in this country. I submit.
Fair enough. Yes, Ezra. Me still, I want to insist on the aspect of, you know, how are we looking at this country moving forward? Those who are there now and they're in charge, nature has it. A time will come when they will go. It is us who will remain with the burden. You are an economist by training. You look at our debt burden at 89 trillion, all right? We cannot finance our national development as a country. 38 years into the governance under the NRM. Our debt burden, the private sector, is it working? So it's just, let's tap into the economy and how it is looking.
Well, before I go to that question, I want us to, I have had some of my colleagues talk about the 38 years as scorecard, and they are scoring the president. When I'm discussing the 38 years of leadership, my mind runs back to those people who picked up their guns and what they thought, what they had at the time in their minds. So when I'm talking about the NRA and NRM celebration of 38 years, I want to make a distinction between the NRM, and when we are celebrating that, we include we are talking about the intentions of the Dr. Besiges, the intentions of the Mugisha Muntu, the intentions of the Tumukundes, the intentions of the of the late Aronda Nyakairima, who left there.
The intentions of my uncle, Brigadier Moses Richards.
Yes, the intentions of all those forefathers, all those Ugandans that dropped their well-paying jobs. Some of them had just graduated from university. They had a bright future. They went to the bush to say, can we redeem our country? So, as a president, we can discuss the president
Ezra,
and his success, but let's differentiate it with the NRA and the NRM.
Good. Just a question. Sorry, but it has crossed my mind, and if I don't ask it now, I will forget. 1980 was post-election.
Yes.
And the president was loud and clear. He said that should this election be mismanaged, we are going to the bush. So, how have elections ever since then been managed in a way that if he was on the other side, then he would not go to the bush?
Well, I don't want to get into
just a comment.
Yeah, of course, our elections are not up to the standard that we should be, and some of these you can neither confirm them to be the actions of the president, but rather, and this leads me to the question of what I want to say regarding what my brother Kateregga just said. On one of the things on the 10-point program was national unity.
Yes.
I want to believe that national belonging or citizenry being of high value is an individual decision.
Not of the state?
No, I don't think so. The state does not make me understand how much I should treasure my country.
Do you know what the state does? It does what Mwalimu Julius Nyerere did. He says that, well, we are 124 tribes in Tanzania, but we are going to, all of us, speak Kiswahili as a national language.
Yeah. We're all going to
my brother Kidega, there are some Kenyans or Tanzanians where the Kiswahili language is predominant who can choose not to know Swahili. So for me, I think, for example, the decision to go to the war and have power for the last 38 years was started by an individual, and the rest of the individuals joined him. So I want to believe that we have a moral... What I'm saying essentially is we have individual responsibility to grow our country. We have individual responsibility to give leadership to our country. Now, when you say, what do we do? Me, I don't give... I am not in the rightful position to educate the NRA and that group of people. 50 years and above, I am not in a position to educate them.
But you should.
But I am in a position to organize. I am obliged actually to organize, to advise, to inform my colleagues that they have done what they have done. You just said about it is just by nature that 10 years, 20 years ahead of us, we should be in charge. You've just brought the issue of the trade minister, the trade state permanent secretary. And I want to say kudos to, I was looking at the former youth member of parliament for Western Uganda and now the Bara. And I want to say kudos to him. You will not be everywhere. And the problem that we have as Ugandans is thinking that the president must address every issue. No, there are people if you talk about corruption, we have the IGG office. Some people who choose to compromise.
But the IGG says they hide behind powerful people like the president.
Yes, I want to see an IGG, my brother. I want to see an IGG who comes out and says, because this issue has not come to, I have been blocked by this issue, I want to resign from my position. My brother,
as a former minister,
Kidega,
gets stooges, puts them in the IGG.
The moderator. I want to be protected so that I can make my point home. I want to say, the moment we have Ugandans who compromise and don't understand that it is by obligation that there must be some impact written against their names, then the president will only continue to do some kind of political management. And that's why I want to thank the current Parliament and the Trade Committee of Parliament under the leadership of Mpaka. He said clearly, yesterday, I quote yesterday's news, he said in yesterday's NBS broadcast, he said, for us, we will do what we ought to do as Parliament. We cite what the wrong we have seen. If there is mismanagement of government funds, we bring it to the attention of the appointing authority and Parliament. If there is further, can we mobilize? We who are discussing, let's mobilize. If we know we have facts about the state of funds that have been squandered by the permanent Secretary of Trade, can we go on the streets and demonstrate against her? And that way, nearly all of us here have been at Makerere. So my question of national unity, my question of being deliberate on building a country, I think is an individual question.
Not of the state.
Yes, the state has a role to play, but I think 80% of it is about the individual. Yes. When we talk about corruption, the people who are being corrupt are Ugandans. The people who are swindling the money, for example, are Ugandans. The latest ICJ report, they said
it's Museveni's creation.
I said I don't.
Facilitated by the president.
Mr. Moderator.
That's not true.
I know.
You accuse Ugandans. You say powerful Ugandans like the president and the government institutions are the ones facilitating corruption in this country. ROCO is a foreign firm. They cannot give such benefits to local entities here and local investors.
My brother Kidega, I want to continue. I want to utilize my time. I want to utilize my time, my brother Kidega.
Okay, guys.
Going to the private, to the economy.
We are due for a short commercial break, Ezra. Yes. But allow me to begin with the aspect of the economy and then introducing Gold. I see she's itching to say something. But let's take a short commercial break. Just in a minute, we shall be back. To the viewers, please don't move any muscle and see you after this tea break.
National Water and Sewage Corporation is committed to providing cost-effective, clean, safe and reliable quality water and sewage solutions in urban centers across Uganda. National Water and Sewage Corporation reaffirms its commitment to 100% service coverage, geographical expansion, infrastructure development, water quality, pro-poor initiatives, customer care and stakeholder engagement, catchment and water source protection. Be a water hero. Pay your bills to zero balance. Report all leaks, busts, and illegal water connections to enable us serve you better. Reach us through our toll-free numbers on 0800 200 977 or 0800 300 977. You can also communicate with us through any of our online platforms or visit the National Water and Sewage Corporation office nearest to you. This message is brought to you by National Water and Sewage Corporation.
We'll be back from that short commercial break to all our viewers. And let's just dive straight to where we had stopped. Ezra, let's shift gears to the aspect of the economy. And, if it is working indeed. And this, let's assess it from the point of the ordinary Ugandan who is down there.
Yes.
Yeah? That ghetto, a young person who spends his time in Kamocha or Makerere. How is the economy? Is it working for that ordinary Ugandan?
Yes.
38 years down the road.
Like I said at the start, the question of governance must be addressed yes, the state has a role to play, individuals have roles to play. Our economy has grown over time. That's for a fact. But that does not mean it makes sense to every Ugandan. There is a lot of inequality among people who have the assets. The private sector is not as functional. We have a mass of young people who are unemployed, which in my view is a resource that we should be using. Many young people today, even those who dropped out of school, at least know one or two things. They can speak English, at least we have a common language. Of course, that's also another question. So we can do business together.
Sure.
We can do business.
My mother, I can assure you, cannot sell her. She deals in maize. She cannot sell her maize to someone in Imbarara.
But also,
I say
Without-
when I said
without
many
a-
young people,
without
I
a
don't think
translator
your
in
mother.
between.
I don't think your mother falls in that category.
The translator in between.
When I say
In fact, I want to disagree with you
yes.
that in Uganda, the issue of one common language to sell to another tribe or in another region has really failed.
it has been frustrating.
common
You hear,
those are efforts
you
by
hear
the
this,
regime.
this.
I was
Mr.
with this
Moderator,
one in
I beg to
Arebutong.
drive my point
In
home.
Arebutong.
I
I wanted
time.
to buy a
I
toothbrush.
want to give you some time.
I wanted to buy a toothbrush. I was with Kidega. These some colleagues from NRM, UPC. We had gone in our respective parties. I wanted to buy a toothbrush. I forgot to pack a toothbrush. It is painful. I went to the shop and I told the lady I want a toothbrush. She did not know Luganda. She did not know English. She did not know Swahili. Those are the languages I could best. Now I didn't know Langi. I had to go back to the hotel. First I was looking for this one. I failed to get him. I had to look for a colleague called Emma Achul.
Actually,
Achul had to go and buy me a toothbrush for 500 in Arebutong in Uganda. It is very painful.
My
and
brother,
those are
Kidega-
things that can only be addressed by
My
the
brother
government.
Kidega,
Yes.
Okay.
with the
Ezra.
coming up with the introduction of UPE, when I said many young people at least understand English, that does not include many of maybe they're above 40 because this UPE thing came, I think, in 1990. This is when we start to count. So, 2000, from 2000, that age from 2000. These are people, I don't think this incident that my brother Kateregga here quotes, if he recalls well, that must not have been someone of maybe 18, 20 years. This is an old woman.
She's actually
who is-
a young lady.
who
We are
is-
speaking
who is-
of Ugandans.
But
Yes,
what
but
I'm,
Ugandans,
yeah, I am saying in our time now, please, as we discuss Ugandans, we need to know who these Ugandans who must move an economy. There are these people who are in their biological, where they are at their biological stages, and they are just not productive. They just can't be productive. When I'm talking about young people between the age of 18 to 30 years, and maybe 40 by extension. So I am saying we must address the question of unemployment of young people. We must grow the private sector deliberately. How? And this is by Ugandans' understanding. One, these people, I have been looking at the public service standing orders. You know, you retire in Uganda today. You retire at 60 years of age, and for me that is overstretched. That is overstretched.
Is that a solution?
Yes,
No,
it
it's not a
is. Many
solution.
people who are in public service should have vacated. The private sector can be grown by local investors. Young people do not have the capital to invest. These are the people who should be benefiting from all government programs, all government opportunities. Someone at 50, my presumption is, should be able to go back home and invest. The president in the recent address of 38 years on Friday did mention that people should do modern agriculture. Yes, it's been a song that he has sung for over time, and many leaders have. I don't know, some of us could have been culprits of looking for jobs. You meet a person at a panel who is 60 years or above, 50 and above, and this person has the guts to tell you, go and look for a job, go and create a job. Today, yesterday I was listening to this.
Excuse, I want to request through you. I want him to make clear to the public about modern agriculture.
Okay.
My brother, these 50 and above, these people in the age of 50 years and above are the ones who are owning land. Young people don't have the land. Yeah? So, even the Vice Chancellor yesterday in his speech at the graduation said, go out, create the jobs. I think the people who should be creating the jobs by now, yes, the young people also have a role to play in terms of thinking out of the box, innovating, and so on and so forth. But it should start with the older Ugandans vacating government offices, vacating benefits from government, because they have reasonably gathered some money, some capital, go back, invest this capital, and now we will see the theory that the president is saying, every household employing 10 Ugandans will be good enough to have a very robust private sector in our country employing young people and having people transact.
Fair enough. No. I want to bring in gold. No. Gold has been quiet for a while. Gold and Junior, actually. So, Gold, from earlier on, you had a comment that I didn't give you a chance to make. But also now we have moved into discussing the economy and how best can we have an economy that works for Ugandans, not just for that 1% who have the capacity to access government grants and put up speak resort or 10 and things like that, but even that ordinary Ugandan who is down there in the village. So yes, your comment and also
One, thank you so much, Honorable Kidega. From his submission, Julius Kateregga, he talked about kind of opposition, and also I should say that the government has made it hard, very hard for opposition as well to be, as in hard in one or the other, in terms of implementation. Reason is, I'm imagining of a country whereby NRM, NUP, DP, UPC, and different political parties sit together and agree on what to pass. That is the reason as to why actually people are very angry.
Don't they sit in iPod?
Yeah.
Don't they sit in iPod?
They do,
but Parliament together.
They sit, they attend.
And then there are all these platforms to discuss and agree on these issues.
They do, but if at all we are to look back and see the Honorable Mugisha Muntu's, see the Chiza Vestiges, now the rise of NUP and DP and the different political parties that are on, the JEMA, Justice for All, you realize actually political parties are coming up.
Actually, on that matter,
and the reason as to why, it is because they feel that some of their ideologies that would actually fit the whole entire nation are not being implemented. That is one that I think it's really happening, and over time it will cost us, and it's still costing us. That's why young people are rising into different spaces. The economy. Let me talk about education. Education, if you're to go in big government schools, the kind of fee structure that is there is also a problem, and yet the government schools. I should say that very many humble people down there are really frustrated, but they don't have what to do. They're now living, eat, drink, wake up, sleep, wake up, live. That's the life.
They're hopeless.
Survival.
Exactly. You reach a family. I remember during my campaigns, I saw very many things, just the recent campaigns around November. And I was like, okay, you study the quality education that you're advocating for, what and what. It's a lot that is really happening down and is not hard. The big schools that we would be really eyeing to go to, maybe they take their children there and educate in those big, good schools. They're highly rated. And yet they're government schools. And that questions me. I mean, it's a government school. Why should it be 2 point something? 2.5. I mean, this is a secondary student. Let's talk about the universal primary education. Universal primary education, has it? Yeah, I'm to take my child there. What quality are they attaining? The government schools that are there, maybe secondary, yes, they are good, but the tuition is high. And yet there's some private schools that actually are at a low pace and highly perform. So that's a question as well that I think we are lacking. There is a very big gap there.
Okay.
And it's
so would you want to link the education system to the unemployment? Is there a correlation in between there?
Education system to unemployment.
Unemployment. Our education system as it stands today, colonial in nature.
Yes, it
has
does.
It had a bearing on the nature of
it does. Yesterday we were discussing about that. And we're like, our fellow colleagues are graduating, but they will come up with small things, businesses and what. Maybe now rating the kind of education that you've attained, the course you've done, and also the kind of work that you're doing, there is a diversion. And so the unemployment is their reason, the skilling, some courses and the kind of upbringing from low secondary level
Is not hands-on.
is not hands-on.
practical.
I did history, economics, and divinity. So my whole time was to sit down, read current affairs, read European history, read this and this and this and this. And over time, I've been groomed into what? Reading. By the time I
Remembering rather
realized,
than
yes,
thinking.
maybe I go even cram
We
for
are
a
trained
paper,
to
get an
remember
A,
than think.
and I move out of the paper. I've left everything there. There's somewhere like that. And it's what is happening in Uganda today, to most of us, the youths actually. Then go to Makerere University, do a bachelor's of maybe arts in education or social sciences or whatever. I'm not saying that these courses are not good courses. They are good courses, but are there practical skills that I can attain from such a course? I'm imagining of a person doing social sciences in second year. You are maybe at a public, maybe ministry or anywhere, but you're attaining skills. How is it operating and what? Like, by the time I move out of university, I have all it takes to be fully employed by any entity. But that is lacking.
Fair enough. Junior, we have now moved to the economy because, again, I think it's a deep matter. 38 years down the road, our export, our foreign exchange, our domestic revenue mobilization. You look at the targets that URA attempts to hit. Is the economy working?
And Honorable, sometimes when I'm discussing some of these issues, I feel like weeping. This country is, I want to say this openly, it is shrinking. Just look at, I want to ask each one of you where you come from. How many young people are exporting? Just pick one product that your young people are exporting just in the neighboring countries. The other question I want to ask you, where is the problem? Why is it that Kiswahili as a language is only in a few regions and not in some parts of the country? What failed? Where is the problem? Is it political? I want all of you to think about it. You cannot talk about East African community. You talk about African Continental Free Trade Area when Ugandans themselves cannot trade amongst themselves. That is, it is next to impossible. Now, I never want to use the other word of idiocy, but sometimes they annoy me. One person comes out and say, young people must go to their villages and dig. Dig what? There is one person, I don't mention his name. He manages everything that moves outside the country. Are you seeing the bureaucracy? I have a witness. One of my good brothers, we're together in university politics in Kabale. This young man got 30 millions. He went to Kisoro and planted ginga. And the guy was very optimistic. Do you know what happened? When time for harvesting reached, they told him, for you to sell that, you must go through somebody. Do you know how much they are giving him? Something like 3,000 a kilogram. Then this person is exporting ginga around 10,000 a kilogram. What happened? These are the people you see on the street in opposition, even when their grandfathers or parents were NRM what? Supporters. So I want to make this clear that the economy of Uganda is really not balanced. It is just for a few people. If you're son of a peasant, you have to eat grass. If you belong to some family, then you are safe. So I want to say that really the economy...
Is that by design or it is by coincidence?
I think it is designed that way. You know, if you have read about the Asian tigers, I wrote the Asian tigers when I quoted Mr. David Mafabi, the presidential advisor, when he wrote about the economy of the country that is moving. I told him, you are lying. If you want to write about Uganda, you compare with the Singapore's. Look at the South Korean economy. Look at how these are all, most of these Asian tiger countries, they are all young countries. Uganda, if Uganda had a system like my brother was saying, Kateregga, would be very far with the minerals that we have here. Every young person would not even ask for a job, would have everything available on their table. But I think, I don't want to create this question, but I think it is planned that way, which I think as young people must come up and say, this is not allowed. Then Gold was talking about the education system. It is true, I'm an educationist by profession. The reason why I came up with my few colleagues to start up Fra Training Institute was that the young people must have these skills. Because we cannot keep on begging. Every time you yawn, you go to some minister for a parcel. You get the point? The moment your pocket drained, now let me call Honorable Sandy so that he can do what? He can help you. This cannot work. We need to create an economic environment that is safe for every young person. Otherwise, young people, though there are no bushes, they will create an environment that will basically...
That is hostile.
That is hostile. So we must accept that young people need skills. This nonsense I've been seeing on street, these NRM guys, buying the machines you meet, that political syndrome is not really right. Skill the young people. Give them sustainable skills. They will create their own jobs. I beg to submit.
Okay, fair enough. So, yes, I want to give you guys, each of you 3 minutes. And in those 3 minutes, you're going to do two things. One is to give us your final comments on NRM at 38. Then two is you just give us your comment again on, the ICJ past ruling. And the Ugandan judge, the Honorable Justice Lady Julius actually, shared a dissenting opinion. So just your comment, does that affect our geopolitics and what does it mean for us? So I'll begin with you, Honorable KJ, as I move towards Ezra.
Thank you, Moses.
Yeah.
Though you had promised that you will allow me to respond.
Okay, please.
Okay. Thank you so much.
4 minutes for you.
I want to thank these colleagues that maybe apart from Ezra, that you've seen that when we disabuse ourselves from, these parties, the reality strikes you. That is what I have seen from them, and what I am addressing.
My brother Kateregga, what do you?
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, Ugandans, and I insist, we must we must force ourselves to discuss this entity called Uganda. And just to inform Ezra, all you see in this country is design. The economy is, education, I'm a teacher by training. The education of this country is predetermined at policy level, at what we intend to achieve. Currently, we are implementing the National Development Plan 3. And there is a set threshold for everything that we intend to achieve as a nation. Because we don't respect these and they don't come from the people, our policy is foreign mostly. We've not sat ourselves, the people have not internalized. That's why we end up with NDP3s that we cannot implement because they don't come from us. And that is what I'm trying to say, that if it came from us, if we discussed at the family barazas in the communities, what education we should address within our community, then this, it would solve many more problems if than it is doing today. For me, it remains the same, that there is a lot of work that ought to be done, and all NRM has achieved in this country would have been achieved, as it stands in my view, would have been achieved by anyone if they have been, if I had been costed. My friend Rugumayo usually jokes that there is a sex style called Museveni. You be on the top and do nothing. So if
It is called what?
It's called Museveni. You go on the top and do
Which
nothing.
style?
But these young people.
So if any other person
Really?
has been costed, if any person had been there for this period, these achievements have been. Then what that means to the young people, we cannot now begin telling people who are approaching 80 years, who are approaching 70 years to come. Let us sit ourselves down, disabuse ourselves of whatever mistakes the NRM has committed or atrocities it has committed against us. Let us agree on certain things and say that this is a model of a nation we are working for and this is what we want. Going forward, I think that would be the solution. NRM has been there, UPC was there, Idi Amin was there, KY was there, DP Time was there, the colonialists were here, and they all live, and certainly the NRM system too will either live or die out or metamorphose into something else. But at the end of the day, this nation, which continues to reproduce, I have been in this country from what I can recall, like 6 generations. From my father, those that I can point at, and more than 30 from my mothers. You understand? But it does not, we keep reproducing ourselves and staying here and recreating the same mess. Let us sit ourselves and create something different for the forward generations. That is our responsibility.
Lastly, yes, our position as a country on the genocide question in Israel and Palestine.
I don't know if I am in position to comment about it. I have a very biased stint. I feel globally the countries are massaging Israel, and I think it is what I don't want to thank anyone apart from South Africa, but not for doing what work it, but for remembering its past, as especially as a country apartheid. What the people of South Africa went through as apartheid is what Israel is subjecting the people of Palestine. It is very unfortunate. And any person who sits here and, gives that, sanitizes that, to me, I'd rather not comment about it. So I will not talk about Justice 17 Day and what informs our opinion. I am here to give my opinion. And I think
genocide is
genocide. We relate best with, for example, what happened in Rwanda in 1994. Very despicable, something that should not happen to humanity. You cannot condone people because people can always coexist. We've been talking about the numbers of refugees that we host here. Puritan approaches to things, to affairs in global affairs is unacceptable. You cannot say that because I'm a Muganda, I cannot wake up today and say that only us Baganda, are the pure blood and everyone else should be extinct. That is unacceptable, and that is my view. And we must continue to tear off Israel. That is not a Christian question. For Christians who are out there who think that what is it is on humanitarian grounds that we disagree with Israel and its approach. And I think for the first time, though I think the Ugandan government should do more, but that statement that came out out of now, it was, for the first time, was representative of my views. It is despicable that a country like Israel continues to abuse its privilege and kills and dehumanizes human beings because they are Muslims. It is unacceptable.
Thank you. Thank you. Gold, in 3 minutes, please. Your final comments on the first topic, and also just your comment about the ICJ ruling. Yeah.
My final comment. Well, I should say that we, the youths, have a very, very strong take in all this, the liberation process. First, our minds to be liberated as Ugandans. The second one is to love our country as a nation. If you don't have the art of patriotism in you, I'm not saying this on the basis of NRM, but as a Ugandan. You also, it pushes you to really go out there, do what you know that is best for your country. Fellow youths have given up. I shouldn't really lie or mask around it. But then, if we give up, then who will take on? It is us. We have all this mantle to take on, and I believe by the time these guys find us very organized, they will obviously render maybe the support they have to. And the other thing is that let's leave the kind of political ideologies, because these are actually political parties that were formed by people who had their own, and we embraced them. And so putting them aside and knowing that this is my country, this is what I would wish my great-great-grandchildren to maybe yield from, is what we should look at. Yeah. Otherwise, my comments on the ICJ. Yeah. Well, I should say that South Africa took a very strong stand. Why? Just like he said, it has memories of the apartheid policy and what happened, and this is what Gaza is now facing, the people there. And I also love the fact that they passed on that Israel actually should render assistance to these people. That was a ruling, one of them, and also respond that they should give feedback as to why in the accorded time that they were given. But otherwise, I think as Uganda, I don't want to say that we should go in for them. Reason being, us within us, we are not even very stable. And again, now rendering all that we really, I don't think it will add up. Thank you.
Thank you. Junior.
Thank you, Honorable. My call is that young people must organize themselves. If they are not organized, they have to reorganize themselves and understand that this country belongs to them. In my poem, When is My Future? I ask the old lads. They have been promising the future to the young people. But when the future is near, they extend their future. And remember, your children are also asking their future because you're squeezing them. Yeah. So the next thing is I want to tell the president of the country, His Excellency the President, that he should not romance corruption. Let him come out clearly and give us a direction. Tell us whether he knows those thieves who are stealing our money, or whether should tell us that now we stop collecting taxes since our money are just going to pockets of a few people in the country. The income inequality that you're seeing is just a planned thing that every young person should come out clearly and speak against it. I want also to say we need Kiswahili for us to market with other neighboring countries. I've been to South Sudan. I have been to South Sudan. I have been seeing young people in South Sudan. In fact, in South Sudan, it is most young people, most Ugandans trade in South Sudan. But when it comes to language, there's a very big issue there, which I think most of us have to think about. When it comes to Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, they also have their own language, but Kiswahili at least should basically modify our way of. Then about the ICJ ruling, I want to congratulate and appreciate the South Africans for making it clear that every human being must live, has a right to live. So anything to do with genocide, it is to my thinking, is suicidal. You cannot say the other people are supposed to die, then for you supposed to live, and then everybody comes up to praise you. That is archaic. I don't really believe that the Palestinians have to die. Then the Israelis have to be praised.
Thank you. Yes, Ezra, your final words.
Well, thank you so much, my colleagues. It's a clarion call to young people. The future belongs to us. Only when we are organized, only when we are patriotic. If we talk about the corruption, can we choose what to inherit from our forefathers and not what not to inherit? If we have found corruption here, at least we have peace. At least we've gone to school. Majority of our fathers did not go to school. Majority of our fathers did not have an opportunity to have a panel discussion that enables them to speak to millions of Ugandans. We don't have, if there are governance issues, let's understand them, but not, I have discussed with some young people who, and my brother here, Kateregga, knows, some young people say, let's tear the country apart into tatters and start afresh.
Yeah.
My view is different. Yes, there are issues. Some of them could be critical. Some of them are terrible. But can we build on that? So my call, it is our responsibility, because we make up the state, we make up the country. My position on the Israel-Palestine issue, I think the judge on the ICU's judgment did not represent Ugandan. I saw Adonia Ayebare, who is our permanent representative to the UNSA. It was not Uganda's position. So I think we must coexist. That is something that each one of us must appreciate. We must coexist. Israel, yes, I don't want to conclude that Israel has genocide intentions on Palestine. At least I don't know the details.
You're a church boy.
I also don't want to conclude. I have seen some narratives that the Palestine officials saying Israel does not deserve to exist. So I do not know which one is what. So could it be Palestine playing that massacred?
That's Hamas.
Terror
group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you
I wish to say that it should sink among all of us that each one of us deserves a life. We deserve to respect territorial boundaries. We need to give. No one has to be superior to the other. Thank you.
Wow, thank you guys. Thank you, Comrade Ezra Byakutangaza, for your time. Victor Junior, for your time. Your Excellency Gold, for your time. Your Excellency Council Member, Lord Councilor, for your time. And of course, to the viewers, it's always a pleasure having you every single Wednesday afternoon. Well, you've heard it all. I'll just conclude by, the words that opened up the 1215 Magna Carta is that all man is born equal. That's just to summarize what, they've talked about. Then, of course, also borrowed the words of Franz Fanon in Wretched of the Earth, every generation must identify its generational mission, and the choice to fulfill it or not is entirely up to them. Until next week, same time, same place, have a lovely Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.